Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today's episode is one of your most fan requested type episodes. I'm going to go over more fan letters, okay, and basically some of the significance of some of the fan letters, like some of the comments and some of the descriptions in the fan letters, because you know the nice thing about the fan letters is that they really paint a nice picture of the times and some of the things that people would have to do, because in the conversation and in the discussions that people actually have to write in these letters, they will tell stories of how their experience in anime and what they're going through, where they are, and they're telling their stories to me. And then basically now that I can sort of see what the hardships that they've gone through. But surprisingly enough, what their stories are probably very similar to what you and I are basically experiencing at this particular time in trying to find anime, trying to understand and get into this genre, which we all love, called anime. And again, we're all getting our same sort of starts. We all start a little differently. We all have access to different things, based on our locale. But again, we all, these similar type stories come up. So basically, I'm going to go through some of these stories. Here, what I'll do is I will post them and then basically have the letter on the screen so that you can actually read through it, and then I'll basically go through some of the comments that are in these letters. Okay. So the people ask me, well, how many letters did you do, or how many fan mail pictures you get and whatnot. So basically, a typical fan letter is, usually comes on a single page or maybe two. I've probably got enough to fill, as I said, a large, long comic box, two of them, filled with letters. So basically, if I had to compare it to the CD shelf, a long comic box would probably fill about that many, and 2 rows of it. So you can imagine thin pieces of paper, lined up, to about here. 2 rows of it, of these individual letters like this, that I probably had to fill orders of tapes and requests and things like that. Okay, so here's a typical letter. Okay, and it basically starts is your basically your request type letter. Okay, so obviously they've gotten a hold of my name and my information through the internet or from some sort of fanzine or publication or whatnot. Okay, and then basically writing me a letter, and ordering some fan subs and that kind of stuff. And usually what they'll do is they'll afterwards they'll get some, and then they'll order some more. Okay, so this is a situation of this person is going to go order some more. So I'll just begin this letter. Okay, it's from a Sean Hagen out of Dundas, okay, Ontario. Just received the Maison Ikaku tape and was very impressed by it. So obviously he ordered some Maison Ikaku and he likes the subtitles. And again, because it's such a hard series to get, what any sort of translation and any sort of translations of anime at this time was very, very valuable. Okay, I want to thank you for the work that you've put into it. I've enjoyed it immensely. I like seeing the medium of anime used for such a story. And again, Maison Ikaku and Orange Road were one of the most powerful stories that came out for anime, because again, it was one of the first few that broke the mold out of all these girls, guns, and gore. The 3Gs theory, right? Because that's basically all the commercial released anime at this time was out, right? So this is something for some, finally anime that's something else. Okay. I also want to thank you again for the Orange Road tapes. And then basically, also obviously he's ordered Orange Road. He seemed to enjoy that as well. And then of course, usually what happens is they'll actually want to order some more. Okay, so I want to let's see. There are more tapes I'd like to order. So I've seen what you have available. I'd like to get episodes 5 through to 28. Tapes 2 to 27 of Maison Ikaku. So you want to order the next bunch of it. And he writes also, if it's possible, I understand if it isn't, I'd like to get the first 4 episodes of Lotus Wars put onto one tape and the last 2 put onto another. Okay, so obviously, typically on a standard VHS tape like this, okay, It's going to be an hour and 20 minutes long, and your typical episode, like Lotus Wars and and Maison Kaku and Orange Road are anywhere between 22 minutes to about 25 minutes, depending if it has opening ending theme songs, if it has a little break between the thing, whether or not it has the in the next episode, such and such this will happen or whatever. If those kind of things. Maybe ads for for any merchandise or the next Laserdisc or whatever coming soon, maybe a CD soundtrack or whatever. All those take a little bit of time, so they eat up your minutes that's on this particular tape. And again, you only have 120 minutes, okay? So once it hits 120 minutes, the recording will stop and the tape will start rewinding, and that's it. No, there's a funny story I'll get into later on. But yeah, you are restricted to 120 minutes, so you can see if anything between 22 to 25 minutes, you can get 4 episodes in there reliably. The 5th episode gets kind of sketchy. Okay, but so he wants basically 2 episodes of Lost Wars put onto the front of the tape, and then on the second tape, he'd also like to put Soul Bianca, another OVA, onto that too. Okay, and he goes, if it's not possible, just give me the first episode of record of Lost Wars on one tape and Soul Bianca onto another, which is usually how it ends up. Doing. Okay. He'd also like to have a copy of Borgman, Lover's Reign, and City Hunter, Magnum of Love, Destination, which is the movie for City Hunter. Okay? And then basically, it says, okay, I've enclosed the check for a certain amount of money for the tapes and the postage. Okay, so basically, a typical thing is that that we do in tape trading in this case is people sometimes have a preference of tapes that they like to have their stuff recorded on, so then they will mail me their particular tapes to me, and of course that means they'll have to pay for the physical postage to send this tape from there over from Dundas, Ontario, over here to Vancouver, and then I can then record his record of Lost Wars on it, record his Maison, his Orange Road, and whatnot, record that on there. And then basically, repack it all back up and then basically send it all back to him, okay? So in that case, they usually just pay for the postage from where he is there back to me, okay? That's fine. Some people think, well, that's a waste of time because, I'm paying extra for postage back and forth. Why not just, get you to buy the tapes here in Vancouver, because probably the tapes, prices of tapes in Vancouver are probably about the same as what they're going to be in Ontario anyway. So, fine. Then basically they can send me a check or whatever to get the tapes and then pay for the postage and send it back to them, okay? Let's see. And this is also something that's not common, but it happens. I'm also enclosing a check for $40 as a contribution to your organization. Thank you very much. Okay, so basically, once in a while, I don't ask for it, but if you can, put a little bit extra, and different people donate different amounts of money based on how much they love their particular animes and that kind of stuff, and I had a program which also rewarded certain people that really were dedicated into certain things. For example, Maison Kaku and Orange Road. We had a certain amount of people donate some large sums of money, and what we did is we basically created a special type of Orange Road jacket to basically to commemorate and give to those people who gave lots for that type of thing. So that's one thing that we did at that particular time. Maybe I'll make another episode of that when I actually get that. So that's a typical letter that requests basically more anime. Okay. Now sometimes I get some some stranger requests. Okay. Okay, so for my second one, I'm going to continue on with the story of recording anime on that one. Okay, so I pull up this letter. Okay, and there's usually a single page letter. It's from John Herman's in Oakville, Ontario. So also from Ontario. So I have a feeling that the John here in Oakville doesn't know anything about Sean in Dundas, but he writes, okay. Dear William, I'm writing to say thank you to you and everyone at Arctic Animation for sending me your excellent subtitle tapes. Okay, all 13 members of our fledgling anime club were glued to the television to watch Pat Labor and Record of Lotus Wars, and thoroughly enjoyed those shows. So basically, just like how we started the Japanese animation club in Vancouver, they're obviously starting some small little animation club in Oakville. Okay, and I always comment that it's kind of funny because it kind of reminds me of that episode in the OC, where where Seth is trying to to open up his comic book club in his school, and there's only like 2 people who want to actually join the club, and basically that's all they are. So this is sort of like the same kind of idea where we're just starting out this genre called anime. We all know that big things like Star Trek and Star Wars are the big big Goliaths of subculture fandom. Okay, we all know that in terms of comic books, Marvel and DC are the big are the big heavy hitters here. So things like manga doesn't really have a place right now. So they're just starting their club. Okay, so he continues. However, the Record of Lotus War tape not only included episodes 1 to 4, but it had half of episode 5. Remember, 120 minutes, right? How could you tease us this way? That show was totally captivating, and I'm sending you another tape in hoping desperately that you have completed episodes 5 through 8, but any proportion of thereof would be greatly appreciated for the gratitude. Thank you again for myself and the Oakville Animation Club that doesn't have a name yet. Okay, so you can kind of imagine what's happening here. So basically, the guy's got his tape, right? And it's it'll normally have episodes 1 to 4 on it, but I of course made a certain master which has more episodes on it, but it requires a longer tape and it's recorded at a slower speed, right? So 22 minutes or 25 minutes roughly per episode. So you do your math. That's 4 episodes completely. But at around 22 minutes, okay, that's 110 minutes. So you have, out of 120 minutes, only 10 more minutes left. So episode 5 will start, and roughly about maybe 10, 15 minutes into episode 5, you will run out of tape. 120 minutes will be hit, and then bing, you'll be at the end, and the tape will start rewinding, going back to the beginning. So you can imagine these people are, these guys are sitting glued to their TV watching episode 5 Record of Lost Wars. Oh, yeah, this is really great. And all of a sudden, the screen will go, blip, it'll be blank. It was like, no! Because that's the first response, right? It's like, the tape broke or something, or no, then you look at the tape. No, the machine's still working. The power's still on. Oh, and then all of a sudden you hear the zzz, the tape's rewinding back, and then you realize, it hit the end of the tape. Oh no, there's no more. It's like, so I'm sure that's what John was experiencing, and then of course they realized that they'll have to go and order the next tape and get the next batch of episodes, which in this case was episodes 5 through 7. Was actually going to be on the next tape. Okay, so that's one of a humorous story that you can kind of imagine what sort of was happening, and probably was a similar situation that might have happened in your fan club when you're playing episodes of something and some technical difficulty happened at a really, really awkward point in the thing, and basically, shall we say, surprised or kind of made it really hard for some of the people that in your club that was watching the thing. Okay, so the next one. Is some of the oddity episode letters. Okay, now I pull this one out because again, of course, you have people telling stories about their fan clubs or that kind of stuff. They have regular people just want to order their fan subs and just that's give me some gratitude, give me some donations or something, and then they here's the order. There you go, right? Very straightforward. Some people decide to get a little more poetic, maybe a little more weird, okay, if you will, okay. This is from a long-time writer, very neat writing, as you mean. Some of these ones you can notice, okay. From Frederick in Quebec, okay. Okay, so he writes, and maybe it's a little weird, but okay, follow me on this, okay. Hello, sports fans. Okay, we're not we're dealing anime here, but not sports. But okay. Today's game is brought to you by the Canadian Postal Service and the Canadian Postal Service losing your parcels faster the Canadian way. And that's the big running joke is the fact that of course here we are, we're sending tapes, physical tapes back and forth. Okay. and they are sent, like anything, in any sort of media, along with the mail and all the parcels. And of course, this is at a time where there was a lot more post offices around. And there's a lot more things going all over the place, because that was the only way you could send large amounts of data or information is by the mail. So the chances of something getting lost in the mail was quite a bit higher, and and basically that's how Canada Post ends up being the big butt end of all the jokes of them losing tapes. Okay, so so he starts off in a humorous way there. On the mound today is the big yellowish thing. Oh, but wait, I recognize that guy. It's my neighbor Totoro, nodding curiously to the coach Miyazaki. That's the artist for the Miyazaki films. Yes, it's the windup, the pitch. Noah Senpai, Pat Labor fans. Okay, so Noah's the main character from Pat Labor. Seems distracted. The absence of the most of her family seems to have an adverse effect on her. Looking to the stands, I can only see the Griffin Story squad in attendance. Hartley cheers as Noah manages to swing and hit. Oh, too bad. It's a foul ball landing in the team's dugout. Nearly hitting, I can't quite see, nearly hitting the Greenwood twins. Okay, so again, making reference to here as Greenwood. But fortunately, Laputa, the floating island, was here in support of her comrades. We remember Laputa surfaced in a ghastly injury. Her top had to be trimmed off as it grows. Ouch. In our last games, and shielded the team with her bulk, it's a critical time for the coach. What will he do? Will he substitute the pinch hitter in place of the obviously disturbed Noah? Yes! I can see the Jonshu Haitsu brothers being crowded by the fans. Fortunately, the brothers' security squad is checking everybody's ID before leaving them, though. Significant hit by JK. It's a driver deep into the left field. But what is this? A veritable thong of house with roasted clocks and invaded the left field end. Hold out the gloves decorated with the yellow chicken. Looking for the roster, I can see that this is an extensive Maison Ikaku family sporting the numbers 9 to 32 as the game disintegrates into a riot, and the protest is an outrage. The 25 players are on the field. Let's have a last look at the scoreboard. And then he gives me a list of animes that he's interested in getting. And notably speaking, it is My Neighbor Totoro, Pat Labor's P1, 3, 5, and 7. This is Greenwood 1 and 2. Laputa, Yoju Kyotsu, which of course is like one of those those Inju movies, La Blue Girl type of things. Good hentai, of course. And Maison Akaku 9 through to 32. So a very creative way to integrate a really strange story into a tape request, but absolutely, it's something that's kind of different. And definitely, this is one of the more interesting stories that letters I've gotten. There are quite a few really strange characters out there, and more stranger stories. But definitely, this is one of the more creative ones anyway. So, when I find some more of them, I will definitely point some of them out in a future episode. Okay? The last letter that I want to go through is, again, a one-pager. And it's sort of related to the previous letter. It's from a Y. Chan. And he's writing it from the New York Public Library, okay? In New York, okay? Okay, my name is Brian Smith. And about 3 months ago, I wrote you for some information on what you have to offer. Okay, so basically, again, what typically people will do is they'll write, sort of an introduction letter. Hi, my name is Brian. I'm an anime fan out of New York. I'd like to get some, of your fan sub tapes and whatever. Okay, and basically, can I get some information about how I do it? And again, I have a stock sort of, form letter with all the information and whatnot on how to do that. And so I probably sent that to him, and now he's sending me a letter for some actual requests. Okay. To say I am impressed is an understatement. I can barely find any subtitle copies of Rumiko Takahashi animated works, but the amount of Maison Kaku that you took care of to subtitle is truly an amazing feat. Again, we did the subtitle all the 96 episodes of Maison Kaku, and at this time we did all 48 episodes of Orange Road. Again, which is something that no company or no even anime fan group has done, because it's just the sheer number of episodes that is involved in that. Okay. Congratulations and thanks. It is infernally it's infernally difficult to get good subtitle copies of lesser recognized works. All the companies, so all the commercial companies, um, ever subtitle is these high-profile, profitable anime works. Again, I refer to these, we would refer to as the 3Gs. So if it doesn't have girls, wielding guns and blowing up lots of stuff and making lots of gore, we're not going to, license that, and we're not going to release that to North America, because we figure that North America audiences aren't interested in that stuff, and that's where they're totally wrong. So again, this is where when we started doing things like Orange Road and Maison Kaku, we wanted to do something different and show that anime could be used for something else. Okay, could be there are lots of good anime out there. It's not all about at this time it's not all about Dangayo. It's not all about Madox. It's not all about things like that. Okay, where it's females with guns, like for example Dirty Pair, destroying lots of stuff and killing lots of things with lots of blood and guts everywhere. Okay, that's just there's other things that there's other animes out there. Okay, a good series like Maison Kaku would be left out in the cold for a long time, and sure enough, it was Viz didn't get to Maison Kaku for quite a few years while we were doing this actually. Again, my thanks. Now, to get to the business at hand, I packaged 12 TDK EHS tapes. I'm assuming you got them all. And the cashier check for so many dollars in U.S. currency. So again, he chose to send me a set of TDK EHG tapes. Okay, and he basically sent me enough money to wrap that up and send it back to him. Okay. The tapes are already marked for clarity, but I request that the episodes of Maison Kaku 1 to 42 on 2-hour speed on the first 11 tapes, which is typical. You get 4 episodes in every tape. First 11 tapes will get you about the first 44 episodes, roughly. With the final tape covering the Maison Kaku movie. Okay, so on the last tape, he wants the Maison Kaku movie, and he wants Gundam Double Zeta episode 47, assuming it'll fit. I have 3 preferences for what I want done for the project. Okay, so basically he wants to guess a sneak preview of some of the other things that we do. At this time, the Maison Kaku movie, of course, should be watched at the end of the series. But again, I guess he wants an advanced copy of it or whatever. And I've made a subtitled. It wasn't really even a full subtitle version. It was basically kind of a sub-assisted, if you will, translation assisted episode of the very last episode of Double Zeta Gundam, and most of the translation of that was actually done from the novel version of Gundam. So basically, I took the parts out of the novel and subtitled them into the video to help basically run the story through. Okay, so that's another sort of use of that. And then later on, when we actually got to the project, I then found a full translator that will do the entire series of Double Zeta Gundam. So then we redid everything again. Okay. So he writes. He said there were some 3 preferences. So he basically now lists the 3 preferences. So first of all, I request if you could that you'd make all the copies off of SVHS master. Again, SVHS masters were the Super VHS, and they were like a higher, sort of better resolution, better quality version of these cassettes. Okay, and so they made a better video master. And then if I were to make another copy off of that master, then it would lose less than if I used a copy of a copy, for example. Okay. The reason for this is that in addition to personally having a crisp copy of it for myself, a few friends have already asked, and I haven't even sent the tapes, let alone received them back, to borrow them for copying. So I need the tapes to at least last as long as possible. I hope you indulge me in this request. So, this is sort of the typical thing, right? Again, if these people find out, oh, well, you're getting subtitled copies of anime. Here, I want to borrow them, man. Send them over, right? And of course, the guy, as I said, he hasn't even sent the tapes for yet, and he's already got all his friends asking him to borrow them already. So I was like, wow. And that's the way we had to get it, right? Because the internet's not fast enough for you to download it or anything like that. You have to wait and send these tapes, because that was the only way to get that kind of video quality, that kind of audio, and that kind of stuff sent at this time, okay? I wrote the date when I fill these orders and when I send them and that kind of stuff on them. And I filled this request on June the 8th, 1993, according to this letter. So you can imagine what kind of internet you're going to have, what kind of Windows experience you're going to have when Windows 95 isn't even out yet, okay? We're still using Windows 3.1 at this time, all right? So you can kind of think of where where the technology is, how fast the computers are. I mean, we're still in that sort of, 486, pre-Pentium 1 era, okay, of computing, okay? So, these computers are extremely slow, all right? He continues. Second, I would strongly prefer that you sent the 12 tapes all back at once rather than one at a time. I've read many jokes about the Canadian mail. New York mail is nothing compared to it. I've had mail show up on the wrong state. Better to lose them all at once rather than one at a time. At least the tracking of it would be easier. He's included the money to cover the return freight cost. Besides, so basically, the typical charge at this particular time, because of the weight and everything, it's about $5 to send a single tape back. Okay, of course you can package a few of them together, and it saves a little bit on the shipping. But $5 is what is understood and pretty reasonable for sending a tape back. Okay, in the way I've wrote it on this paper. I sent the tapes back in, 5 tapes, and 2 tapes at once. So I didn't actually put them all in one box. I broke them into smaller boxes and sent them back to him. But he got them, so that's okay. Let's see. So I said, I know you said $5 per tape, but I wanted to play it safe. Besides, it might save you a few dollars sending you... let's see. Besides, it may save a few dollars sending it in bulk. For the excess, I think a contribution for paying off of the organization always for a bribe for complying for the first request. A subtle hint. So basically, some people like to throw in a little extra for their contribution, because of all the equipment costs and laser discs and that kind of stuff. Some people are more than happy to throw a little bit in there. Okay. So, and because, as I said, a subtle hint, kind of a nudge. Sure. I'll help a guy out. And then lastly, he goes, the third, please take your time with all the work. You must be plagued with huge orders in addition to your own personal lives. I'm in no rush. I won't start to worry until about early March. Again, feel free to drop me a notice if there's any problem, delay or cancellation of titles. I hope you are doing good. Hope you're doing good. I extend my prayers for your continued success. Okay, and so he goes on to explain, to give me his address and explain why he has to send to the New York Public Library. Okay, so again, so this is another typical order of people ordering that kind of stuff, and again, he even noted that that the Canadian Postal Service is not all that great, and he even comments that the New York Postal Service isn't all great because again, stuff ends up in the wrong state, and you kind of wonder, well, how in the hell that worked? Maybe they sent it to the wrong Washington, I guess. Who knows? Anyway, so what you want to do right now is you want to hit like and click subscribe. And I'm going to get into more letters, okay? And more things like convention stories and that kind of stuff. And so, definitely hit your like and hit subscribe so that when I get more episodes out there, you will see them, okay? So, until next time, see you again.